The question is yoga philosophy important? I would say that yes. If you are, let's say, more serious, if you are interested in yoga, if you have that in you, then I would suggest to study some philosophy. Some philosophy, and I'll connect then philosophy with history. So both the some historical understanding of yoga and some, at least some basic philosophical understand of yoga. The main reason is that it will ground your practice. It will allow you to understand how to develop a deeper practice. From my experience, if you don't have a good understanding primarily of history and then later of philosophy of yoga, overall your practice will normally stay on the realm of yoga's exercise or yoga's well-being, which is okay. It might be enough for you, and that's totally fine. But if you have this, let's say, this gearing in your system to want to explore it further, what is really there, because it's a very rich tradition. It's something people have been doing for thousands of years, and especially in the ancient times, they were not doing just for benefits of the body. There were deeper explorations that were being done via yoga, like serious explorations, explorations of consciousness, explorations of the nature of reality. It's a very, very deep practice, and it has lasted for so many years exactly because it's a deep well. As you swim and as you dive deeper, you find further and further and further, so the practice can sustain itself. I've seen many practitioners that after some time, if they're just doing the more physical, like looking for the physical benefits, after some years, sometimes a couple of decades, they tend to lose interest in the practice and they shift. They say, okay, I won't do yoga anymore. I'll do now weightlifting. I'll do martial arts, etc. Which again, I think you can do both. There's no problem with that. But save the yoga to be the deeper exploration. And then normally philosophy is the one that will point you to the proper direction. It will show you, it will serve as the map, as the guide. Where can this journey take you and what you should do as the next step. As a first benefit of philosophy is in general to give you more meaning to pranayama and to meditation, to dharana, dhyana, samadhi, because pranayama, which are the, let's say, the breathing practices of yoga, but more specific is the energetic control, the control or concentration, direction of prana in the system, and meditation in general, they do need some background for the practice to make sense. Otherwise, again, it will always remain on a level that is more for well-being, such as mindfulness, such as breathe a little bit deeper, a little bit longer to release stress. It's all fine, but there's a deeper dimension on those two practices, which are in yoga. They are the antaranga practices. They are the practices that are internal. Now, they are more related to the mind itself, to the psyche, to consciousness. So they can be more confusing because they are not as clear as the body. For those two, the pranayama and the meditation practices, philosophy will give you the map, it will give you the direction. Another point that philosophy can help is to connect the idea and the practice of lifestyle with, let's say, the asana, the physical practice, the day-to-day practice, the meditation practice. It will bind lifestyle and the actual practice. If you don't have a proper understanding of philosophy, sometimes to connect the two might seem a little bit disconnect. You might be doing like certain postures here, and then on the other side you see people, okay, now I want to be vegetarian, now I want to be less violent, now I want to be a better person. And then how to connect the two. You're doing a back bend, and how to connect that with wanting to be a better person. And sometimes it can seem disconnect, and I would say exactly because of the lack of philosophy. Philosophy explain why you're doing the postures, with what intent, and how they connect with a broader view of the system, of the yogic system, which then includes everything. It includes lifestyle, it includes eating habits, it includes posture, includes breathing, includes meditation, and so on. Overall, then philosophy will also make yoga more than an exercise. Most exercises that don't carry a lot of philosophical discussion, I would say maybe traditionally, in more, especially more ancient context, martial arts, dance, they were considered these art forms like body arts. They tend to have more serious philosophy, but nowadays, slowly, bit by bit, it's being a little bit lost and is becoming more and more an exercise, which is, again, great for the body, great for health living, that's necessary. But if you have a philosophy that backs your practice, it will be more than that 1 hour, that 30 minutes, that 1 hour and a half. You become part of your life, really part of your personality. So you give all this lack of a better word, these magical bits into your own reality by the way that you use your practice and how philosophy connect the two. The text that is the classic for yoga philosophy has become the Yoga Sutra, and I think it's a very good text. The traditions that I'm part of normally they do refer to it as the main textbook, let's say, for understanding the practice, for guiding the practice. There are many translations, commentaries on that. I would normally suggest for a beginner or someone that is especially a Western that doesn't have much knowledge of Sanskrit, for example, to go for the Edwin Bryant edition, which I think is the best one that covers the best in English the philosophy, the general philosophy of yoga and the Yoga Sutras, and then a more close, let's say, to a more, let's say, the more Indian one, which is not then done by a Western, but by Swami Hariharananda. He was an Indian yogi, slightly modern, not very ancient, and that's a very deep account of how to connect yoga philosophy and practice. So those two are great. There are other the philosophy in India is a very rich ground. There are many different views, so you can find other sources for knowledge apart from the Yoga Sutras. But I would suggest also it can be interesting to study Buddhism together with the Yoga Sutras, because if you have a grip of ancient, like more classic Buddhist philosophy, especially on the sutra side, you see how much connection there is between the Yoga Sutras and Buddhism. So they're very much in line. There's a few differences, even some major difference, but a lot of the idea of practice and the connection with lifestyle, they share the same ground. So a understanding of Buddhism can actually back up a lot of the yogic practice if it's grounded on the Yoga Sutra. So a combination of both can be very interesting.